President Bongbong Marcos is ordering a lifestyle check on all officials and agencies involved in the government's flood control projects. In a briefing on Wednesday, August 27, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro says this directive is part of the government's crackdown on individuals linked to anomalous flood control projects. She says the lifestyle check will be carried out by the agencies themselves while assuring transparency in whatever results may come out of it.
Hindi po natin makakaila na mayroong mga DPWH officials na sinasabing involved at malamang ay magsimula sila doon. Nagsalita na po kasi ang Pangulo. So dapat ang bawat ahensya ay tumupad sa kanilang tungkulin. Asahan po natin dapat at bigyan po din natin sila ng karampatang tiwala. At kapag pinakita din tayong anomalya sa kanilang pag-iimbestiga, magiging questionable rin po ang kanilang pagtatrabaho at malamang masama rin sila sa pag-iimbestiga.
Meanwhile, the palace official stresses that Marcos is determined to hold liable officials who will be proven to be involved in the questionable projects.
Sinabi naman din po ng Pangulo na hindi ito titigilan at tatapusin niya ito bago siya matapos ang termino.
Castro notes that Public Works Secretary Manuel Bonoan remains in office despite calls from various groups and personalities for him to resign. In his fourth State of the Nation address, Marcos directed the Department of Public Works and Highways to submit a list of all flood control projects under his administration to determine which ones were failures, unfinished, or ghost projects. Marcos later on disclosed the initial findings of his administration's investigation into these projects, identifying only 15 contractors that secured most of the government's flood control deals. Malacanang says former Philippine National Police Chief General Nicolas Torre III has been offered another position in the government. During a briefing on Wednesday, August 27, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro says she could not yet disclose further details about the role.
Hindi pa po natin maisisiwalat ang detalye patungkol po dito. Pero confirm po na may inaalok pong posisyon.
Executive Secretary Lucas Persimin announced on Tuesday morning, August 26, that Torre was being relieved from his post as PNP chief. Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla later Tuesday revealed that Torre was being considered for another role. Meanwhile, Castro dismisses claims by Makabayan bloc lawmakers that Torre's sudden removal reflected growing divisions in the Marcos administration. According to Castro, they do not see such a scenario as Torre can still serve the country under the current administration.
Hindi po yan nangyayari at hindi po yan ang nakikita natin dahil sabi nga po natin si General Torre ay napakagaling na public servant at maaari po pa rin siyang magsilbi sa bayan. So hindi po natin nakikita na kung ano yung nakikita na Makabayan bloc.
ACT Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tino and Kabataan Party List Representative Rene Co said the development in the police force indicates that different groups are engaged in infighting due to a power struggle. They said it was proof of a deeper divide in the Marcos administration. Senator Ping Lacson bears that Chinese sleeper agents and operatives from the People's Liberation Army are already embedded in the Philippines. During the hearing of the Senate panel on National Defense and Security, Peace, Unification and Reconciliation, Lacson says some of these agents reportedly operated near the Commission on Elections and Malacanang Palace for alleged espionage. The senator is also urging government agencies to sustain follow-up operations against suspects arrested in earlier anti-espionage drives.
The whole network of espionage operations must be dismantled or at least decimated, di ba? To a large degree. Nang sa ganon, kasi agents come and go. Inaresto mo, merong papalit dyan. And I heard, I have it on good information, na maraming sleeper agents. Even regular members of PLA na nandito. Imagine, widespread Meron tayo sa Palawan, meron tayo sa Makati, meron tayong Dumaguete, umabot na sila sa malapit sa Aguinaldo, and then Comelec, Malacanang. So medyo there's more than meets the eye here, di ba? So kailangan talaga yung pursuit operations natin walang let up.
According to Lacson, there is a need for continued counter-espionage operations. At the same time, he and other senators are seeking to strengthen and amend Commonwealth Act 616. During the hearing, Attorney Ferdinand Levin of the National Bureau of Investigation says agents carried out at least 6 operations, arresting 19 foreign nationals suspected of espionage. Of the 19, 13 were Chinese, 5 were Filipinos, and 1 was Cambodian. Levin says the Filipinos were acting as guides, drivers, or aides. Meanwhile, Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri calls on the government to be more vigilant in checking all foreign donated equipment for possible spyware, warning that these may be used against the country if left unchecked. Zubiri recalls that in earlier briefings, government officials admitted that China donated hundreds of computers to the Philippine National Police and the Department of Interior and local government. He considered these a national security concern. A Department of Justice official says a total of 401 human skeletal remains were recovered from Taal Lake as authorities continue the search for the missing Sabungeros. During a House Committee on Human Rights hearing, DOJ Assistant Secretary Eliseo Cruz cites data from the Philippine National Police Forensic Group.
From July 10, 2025 up to present, based on the records of the PNP Forensic Group, there are 401 pieces of human skeletal remains have been recovered from 17 different locations reported by the Philippine Coast Guard. The recovered sacks or mesh nets containing the human skeletal remains are usually tied to or attached to 2 sacks containing sand that serve as sinkers. Each sinker sandbag is of the size of a 25-kilogram rice sack.
Of the 401 human bone fragments recovered, PNP Forensic Group Director Brigadier General Danilo Bacas says 163 skeletal remains had undergone cross-matching with DNA samples collected from 29 relatives of the missing Sabungeros. He adds that the rest could no longer be used as the bones had already deteriorated. When asked if any of the remains matched the DNA samples of the missing Sabungeros relatives, Bacas replies there were none so far. The PNP official notes that it will take 7 to 8 days for the exam results to be released. According to Cruz, technical divers immediately turned over the sacks to the PNP Forensic Group after retrieving them from the bottom of the lake. He says this is to preserve the integrity or evidentiary value of all sacks. Whistleblower Julie Dondon Patidongan earlier said that the 34 missing Sabungeros were killed and dumped in Taal Lake. Patidongan was among 6 security guards accused of abducting the Sabungeros.